Power and peace, power and peace. Once again, brothers and sisters, we're back Thursday night, 7 o'clock, the Black Liberation Movement podcast. Every night, every Thursday night at 7 o'clock, we'll be coming live your way. So we live tonight. Want to give a shout out to everybody that's tuning in. And want to thank you for tuning in. We want to say uh, peace and power. Salam alaikum, hotep, free the land, whatever greeting you may prefer. But we like getting to the crux of the conversation. We like getting to the meat on the bone. And tonight I think we got a pretty meaty conversation, a pretty meaty topic to talk about. So share this broadcast. Uh, Let others know that we got some real conversation going on over here, the Black Liberation Movement podcast. And you should be tuning in. So share the broadcast as well. As a matter of fact, subscribe to the YouTube page, the YouTube that we have, that Sister Crystal will post, and make sure that you get that out, and make sure that we getting this word across the land. So tonight, I want to talk on a subject matter that's extremely important and absolutely necessary in the process of nation building, and that's education. Tonight's topic is education and why Mississippi now. Education and why Mississippi now. Got some very interesting things that's taking place in Mississippi. For those of you who are paying attention to the recent happenings in Mississippi and some of the things that's affecting our state as of right now. Um, One of the things that's taking place right now in our state, I find it very interesting, is what they call a brain drain. It's a Mississippi brain drain. And I want y'all to take time to peace and power, our dear sister Miller Renee, and peace and power to our powerful sister down in Okolona, Mississippi, Sister Beth Johnson of Yaga Youth Against Gang Activity. Appreciate you for chiming in. Share the broadcast. Let's talk. Let's talk tonight. We're not gonna be long tonight. Actually, we don't have any guests. If you want to be a guest, let us know by chiming in, and we can see if we can get you on if you feel you have something to bring to this broadcast. But we want to talk about education today, and we want to be specific about education, and we want to talk about some of the things that's taking place in Mississippi right now. Uh, we not being dismissive of any other places where our people are at, but we want to focus our attention on Mississippi for a minute, and don't take it as a slight. If you're not from Mississippi, take it as a lesson, because what we're trying to do is make a model example. We're trying to create a model blueprint of what Black people networking, Black people being mature about our condition, our situation, and doing something about it. So we taking what we can deal with, and that's our home state. And we're gonna try and do the pragmatic thing about our condition, and build a liberated nation of Black people. So we can't do that without education. We cannot do it without education. So let's take for a standard tonight. We're going to talk about what education is. And one of the best definitions that I've heard of education, or what education actually is, was given by the great doctor Amos Wilson. And what Amos Wilson said, he said that the purpose of education is to assure the survival of a people. Now think about that. Peace and power, Sister Nikki. Glad you're on, dear. Peace and power. Power and peace. I got to train myself to say power and peace because we ain't going to have no peace unless we gain some power. We ain't going to have no peace unless we gain some power. So power and peace, Sister Nikki. Glad you were able to come on. Jill Lake, thank you for tuning in. My second home, Charleston, Mississippi. My dear friend Jill Lake, we appreciate you chiming in tonight. Thank you very much, dear, for chiming in. But let's get to it. Now, Amos Wilson said that education, the purpose of it is to assure the survival of a people. Now, think about that. Proper education is to assure the survival of a people. So, what is it that we have? You know, the educational system that we're dealing with. You know, why are Black people across the nation of consciousness beginning to say we need to center our education around who we are and what we are and understanding our conditions? It's the reason why people are saying that. Black people are saying that across the nation. Because in the present day educational system, it's not guaranteeing Black people assured survival. It's not. You know, we practicing a whole we getting very skilled in what we call rugged individualism. We're getting very skilled in that. And that's what this education is hashing out for us. You know, when I look across the diaspora of education, I'm seeing that, you know, our people within the constructs of education and how it's built in America is most definitely assuring the survival of white people. We're going to be clear. It's most definitely securing the survival of white people while Black people are positioning themselves in rugged individualist ways and we chasing the bag. You know, we don't really have a cultural aspect to our learning. We don't really have a cohesive and comprehensive race, healthy race mentality about, you know, what it is that we are doing as we ascertain education per se. These degrees, we just trying to get a bag. You know, we trying to get careers. But as a people, we're struggling. We're struggling because of this rugged individualism and what we hashing out of this educational system. If anybody understanding what I'm saying. But white people are building the educational system as means of survival. Means of survival. So Amos Wilson said that the purpose of education is to assure the survival of a people. To assure the survival of a people. So what's going on in Mississippi? Because yesterday I turned the news on and I seen white people. I seen white people in a disarray. They were alarmed because something is going on with education in Mississippi. We are experiencing, and I hate to use the pronoun we because these are white people hollering. You know, these white people hollering at a phenomenon that's taking place called brain drain. A phenomenon called brain drain. Now, if you do not understand what brain drain is, go ahead and Google it. Google Mississippi brain drain. Because what it's suggesting is that the college level graduates, the intellectuals, the degree skilled people that's graduating from the public universities of Mississippi, 50% in the last 3 years is leaving the state. 50% of the graduates in Mississippi public universities are leaving the state. This is called brain drain. Brain drain. And I remember when I began to study years ago the social phenomenon of my people, Black people. And I began to try to understand why it is that we are so subjugated, why we suffering so much. I began to understand the dynamics of creating ghettos. You know, um, how do you create a ghetto? You know, uh, um, um, well, the way you create a ghetto is that all the knowledge, all uh, the the thinkers in that demographic leave that demographic, and it creates a deprivation in that community or wherever it's at. Your upper echelon, the thinkers, they leave, so it leave a situation of despair, and we began to call those places ghettos because there's no intellectual creativity invested in those areas. All the thinkers, they leave those areas and they're creating a ghetto. So ghettos are socialized places where mostly, our people are the residents are the inhabitants of. So that's a microcosm right there to show you how ghettos are created. So I want to compare that to what's happening in Mississippi right now, the brain drain, because white people are alarmed about this. Go and Google it, Mississippi brain drain, to see if Lumumba know what he's talking about. Go and Google it. So if black people leaving areas, black knowledgeable people with the intellectual capacity, and they take their intellectual capacity somewhere else, then what happens to the area that they leave? It becomes deprived. It becomes poverty stricken. It becomes undesirable. It becomes, thank you, Brother Sean, for Ken Sean, my guy. Thank you for chiming in, brother. That's the brother that I love right there, Brother Ken Sean Banjo, chiming in with us. But yeah, those places become uh, undesirable places, and we refer to those places as ghettos. Now, that's a small microcosm, but what happens when it begins to happen on a state level? That's right, Sean. It gets drained. So what's happening, Sean, is that Mississippi. See, I'm watching the news, and these white people are alarmed in Mississippi. I'm talking about these white people are alarmed in Mississippi because 50% of the university, public university graduates are leaving the state. They leaving the state. So now they're alarmed because and some of the things that these graduates are saying, because white people are so alarmed, I'm getting this report straight from the state auditor. What is his name? I think his name is Shad White, the state auditor. They're alarmed. What we gonna do? And what's going on is that, because I'm speaking to a white sense of emergency. Because see, I'm of the mindset that, black college graduates, you know, seemingly to me, been leave. We always have a propensity to leave the state. I remember, just being in high school, uh, and we talking about, when we graduate, some of the high upper echelon honor graduates and people like that, they was talking about leaving the state. I always had a desire to stay here in Mississippi. I just always had that desire. I said as long as I had the means to go wherever in the world I wanted to go, that I will always make Mississippi my home. And the more I began to learn about Mississippi and the history of Mississippi and who we were as it pertained to the history of Mississippi, the more I became one that wanted to stick it out. I always wanted a challenge, and I became one that wanted to stick it out. And when I began to learn more about this powerful state and how much of a catalyst it was to create what we see in America. I began to say, now, if we're going to do this as Black people, why don't we start the same place we started it for white people? You know, why don't we do it the same place that we started it for white people with our blood and our sweat and our tears? If we can do it for them, can't we do it for ourselves? Can't we do it for ourselves? So, you know, we done kind of got caught up in this Americanized game of chasing white people around, you know, the country and chasing their ideas, you know, not fundamentally developing concepts of our own that we're willing to take out and make practical applications out of. You know, we got to have some courage to do that. But this brain drain thing got white people all, got their panties all wadded up. You know, they're concerned now that their children are not interested in staying here and continuing to build the infrastructure. What y'all think about that? Thank you, Brother Samuel McCain, for chiming in. Thank you, my brother, for chiming in. We're trying to build this platform back up so that we can have these conversations on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. We just want to go about an hour. Sometimes it get very heated and we get a little bit over an hour. But we're trying to build these platforms back up where we can have these real conversations and people can become more learn about the things that's taking place in our powerful state, because this is going to be the Mecca. This is going to be the Western Hemisphere Mecca, and that's what we determined to do. I'm working with leaders all across this state, under the radar, as we'll say, to bring the network of Black people together so that we can put pressure. We want to put pressure on Black leadership in Black townships all throughout Mississippi so that we can become a pronounced force and power in this state. We want to be a force and a power in this state. And if you do the mathematical equation to God, that mathematical equation simply suggests force times power. Force times power equals God. So we got to become that force times that power. White people are afraid today. Chandra Marshall, thank you for chiming in, dear sister. Appreciate you. White people are getting alarmed. Their knowledge is leaving. Their children are not interested anymore in this state. And I got this book right here for a reason tonight. Y'all see this book? It's a powerful, powerful, powerful book. It's called The Devil You Know, a Black Power Manifesto by our brother Charles Blow. He's a writer, best-selling author with the New York, the New York Times. And he wrote about the South. And if Black people were serious, what it is we would be doing if we were serious about building and maintaining power in the Western Hemisphere ourselves. If we were serious, we'll take a strong look at politicizing ourselves a certain way. We'll take a strong look at how do we economically incentivize ourselves in this country. This book right here outlines a Black Power Manifesto. Black Power, you know that term y'all afraid of? Black Power, that term y'all afraid of? You know that term that when we did the fourth edition of Mississippi on the Move in Clarksville, Mississippi, and one of my brothers that stand guard with the generational vanguard, making sure that our children, women, and elderly are okay at every one of our events. He said that the Black woman walked out of the event because she said, and he heard her say, they ended up talking about Black power. It ain't about no Black power, it's about God power. When in our proximity for 3 minutes before she made the determination that she was going to leave because she heard the term Black power. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? She heard the term Black power and she felt like there wasn't a place for her to be because she said it's all about God power. That's a psychosis, because I'm trying to figure out if Black people who have never had power under a system of racism, white supremacy, we've been subjugated for 400 years, oppressed, marginalized, discriminated against, killed for 400 to 500 years. And black people talking about black power, which is the only thing that's going to save us. But we got black people saying, no, it ain't about black power. How that ain't God power? I'm trying to figure out how that ain't God power. When the bottom rail begin to talk about doing something for themselves. How that ain't God power. We got a psychosis. And we got to speak to it. So, yeah. We got Sister Miller. What's Sister Miller saying? Let me put up some of these comments by our Ministers of Wellness, Sister Miller. She said, in fact, education is only powerful if you use the basics of it to conquer indoctrination. Stop right there. Put that back up there. She said, in fact, education is only powerful if you use the basics of it to conquer indoctrination. See, we're indoctrinated people. Most definitely that. Most definitely an indoctrinated people. Now, miseducation on many levels is what had done that. Proper education is what's gonna reverse the process. Proper education. So when people hear black folks talking about black power, and that's a repugnant thought to them, you're indoctrinated. You're indoctrinated. What else Sister Miller say? Sister Bev Johnson. Yeah, let me get Sister Miller right there. In the end, the power is in unity. All that we have learned must be brought back to the unity. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I made a post the other day that spoke directly to that. The unified power of black people, you know, the unified power of 50 to 60 million in this country. White people say about 43 million, but they always misleading our numbers. Anyway, see, I just want to show them, Sister Miller, what can be done right here in Mississippi. You know, Mississippi 38% black. And then now you got white folk ready to leave. You got white children ready to leave Mississippi. That's alarming to white people because they understand something. If we build it, who do you think we want to control it? They children. So Mississippi has been built on this plantation economy system. This is what I'm telling y'all. Plantation economy system. Go and look up plantation economy too. Mississippi is a state that exemplifies plantation economy probably more so than any other state in the United States. The thing about plantation economy, it creates an elitist class of white people, and it creates a poor, almost definitely, almost 100% poor black people, but it also creates poor white people. It's just that the poor white people are politicized in a more powerful way because of the economically controlling class of white elites. So they politicize white people at a higher level than black people. Black people are subjugated and, like Claude Anderson say, a permanent underclass. Not just in Mississippi, in America. In America. So now Mississippi is experiencing a problem. The state auditor, Shad White, said that this is a critical issue as the state spends hundreds of millions of dollars each year in public university. But they're saying we investing money in the Ole Miss, into Mississippi State, into Southern Mississippi. We're investing money into these major universities in this state. But 50% of our product is leaving. So who's gonna run the old plantation? who gonna run the plantation now? You see, our children are being influenced. I'm talking like a white man. Our children are being influenced by white liberals. And we are staunch conservatives here in Mississippi. You see? And our children are being influenced by white liberals outside the state. So I think we got some facts on where these white children going. Because see, it wasn't no alarm. See, what we need to realize, it wasn't no alarm when black children were leaving. You know, as we have been doing as long as we could. As soon as we get an education, we getting the hell up out of here. You know, we trying to get the hell up out of here. So it wasn't no alarm to white people when black people were fleeing up out of here. You know, but now that there's a lead, if there's a lead, who gonna run the old plantation? You see what I'm saying? So we getting about halfway in the show. Who gonna run the old plantation? I'm gonna get the bell comment in a second. But who gonna run the old plantation? Because it's somewhere I want to go. I really want to lay a foundation about what's happening and why white people are alarmed. You know, I want to speak to white people being alarmed because we get alarmed when white people get alarmed. Hell, we shouldn't be getting alarmed. Hell, we should be ready to take over. We should be getting ready to take over. But hell, if white people in trouble, what Malcolm say? If the white man house burning down, what we say? Our house burning. If master sick, what we say? We sick. That what we say? We sick. White children run away. So what you tell your children? Because you so indoctrinated and you want to think like white people. You tell your children run away too, when they should be trying to take the house over now. We should be positioning ourselves to take the house over. White people put it out there. They say, hey man, look, our children leaving. It's a problem. This is a problem. They're leaving at alarming rates. 50% of them that's graduating at our major universities that we put money in. See, we build white supremacist institutions. So when these white children come out of these institutions, they need to continue to maintain our system, but they leave it. So instead of us getting alarmed, we should be getting ready. The Black Liberation Movement been saying, let's get ready. Let's get ready. Let me go back to this comment. I see my brother up there, Samuel McCain. Oh yeah, they go to church every Sunday and learn all about white power. All about white power. And they love it. They love it. They get in an event and hear somebody say black power, they run up out of there. They don't waste no time getting up out of there. Thank you, brother Sam, chiming in, man. So glad to see you again. Let's get the Bell comment. I wanna read Bell comment. She said their children are no longer interested in the old South mindset. Some never want to let go of it. Their children aren't concerned or intimidated by our elevation. But like the sister said, you can't escape racism and the strategies and systems they construct to keep us behind. Oh, okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Sister Bell said that their children are no longer interested in the old South mindset. Some never want to let go of it. That's an interesting comment, Sister Bell. The children aren't concerned or intimidated by our elevation. That's an interesting comment too. You know, but like the sister said, you can't escape racism and the strategies and the systems they construct to keep us behind. Okay, that's good. Let's see here. Sister Miller, genetic annihilation is their greatest fear. They can't reproduce at a comparative rate, so they know if their children leave, soon Mississippi will be the United States of Africa. True fear. Francis Chris Wilson talked about it. We got it in a microcosm right here in Tate County. And everybody from Tate County on this thread tonight can bear witness to this. Tate County had 3 schools in its school system. It has Independence, Coldwater, and Strayhorn. Senatobia school system, the one I graduated from, is a separate municipality. It's a separate municipal school system. But just to add credence to what it is that's being said right there, that's Sister Miller. Strayhorn is a predominantly white school district, which can never accumulate enough students to justify building a high school. So rural community of white country rednecks that could never generate enough children to justify the state allocating them the money to be a high school. Coldwater, which is the most powerful black school district in Tate County, is bordering in between Strayhorn, is situated in between Strayhorn and Independence. Independence is about 50-50, white and black. So Strayhorn for years wasn't able to reproduce enough children to be able to justify the state allocating enough money to build a high school. So what happened? They began to do what white folks do. They convinced their politicians within the state, the school board, the superintendents of the county schools, to work in cahoots with the white people out here in Strayhorn to do what? Redistrict the lines. Since we can't have more babies, Sister Miller, these white folks said, let's change the line. Well, we can take students, even if they black, take students from Coldwater, and now they'll be in the Strayhorn district. And bam, Strayhorn was able to ascertain the money after they basically politically cheated. So these are tactics to prevent white genetic annihilation and to create better conditions for white people. It's about quality of life, and where is your quality of life? How do we feel about our quality of life, and what are we willing to do about it? White people willing to cheat. I see it on a microscopic scale. They willing to cheat. What we willing to do? Y'all need to get a copy of this book. Y'all need to get a copy of this book right here and talk about reverse migration. Talk about black people coming out of the urban areas and relocating ourselves. We can create urban areas. If that's what you want to do, we can actually recreate it. But we got to have a sense of purpose, to do this. We got to have a sense of purpose. We got to think our people and our children's future is worth it. Because true education is designed to assure the survival of a people. To assure the survival of a people. So we have to really start thinking about that. I just want to say this before we go into the second phase of this. And if there's any comments that need to be shared, let's pop them up there. But I just want to share this little personal situation that took place with me today. I was in court today because I have a family situation that's very dire. I got a family member, basically life on the line, and a situation. I'm not going to go into the detail, but I was in the courtroom today, before time, and before the court started, actually, we began to file in. Family began to file in, and I seen the courtroom begin to fill up. I seen all these white people begin to fill up the court, begin to fill their respected places in the court. Seeing the clerk and the lady that typed the and all the bookkeepers and all these people getting filed. I said, wow, nothing but white people in Batesville, Mississippi. They began to file in, and I'm just watching it because I got a more critical understanding of the system of racism, white supremacy. I guarantee you, most of the black people in there that were seeing the same thing I saw were intimidated beyond their own articulation. It was just normal for them. But for me, I was watching the machinery of white supremacy. I was watching the machinery of white supremacy in this system that they built that my cousin is trapped in right now. I want y'all to really think about this. The machinery of white supremacy in the judiciary area of life. And I'm watching this court system begin to configure itself. I'm just like, wow, the judge ain't even walked in yet. But I want to show y'all something that's very powerful to me that I've seen. Because when this thing became came to the point where we knew that we were gonna have to hire somebody that can basically save my cousin's life, I saw counsel from an elder, a godfather of mine, and he pointed me in the direction of a young lady. He said, you should try this young lady. I believe in her. So since my elder believed in her, I believed in her. And I hired this lady to save my cousin's life. So, like I said, imagine a courtroom full of white people who ready to just conduct business as usual, exercise white power. As black folks feel the seating area because we the ones about to get judged. And lo and behold, the doors swing open, and this black woman walked through the door with big old fluffy natural hair on her head. A lawyer leather bag in her hand, and one little black apprentice that I've been talking to on the phone, handling her business, walking by her side. A younger black lady, black girl, up and coming lawyer, her apprentice. She walked down there like God. I'm just gonna say it like that, like God. And I look around, and it was inspiration to me. It was inspiration to me because she had an air of confidence about herself. And I done talked to her. This is our legal representation. She had an air of confidence about herself as she walked into that white setting. She knew what she was doing. She knew what she was up against. Think about that. And she sucked the air out the room. She sucked the air out the room. And I said, wow. I said, wow. I said, that's it. I said, that's it. And she began to conduct her business, and I watched the white people watch her command the room. That's right, Hollywood, you were there. That's right, Hollywood, you were there. Hollywood said she parted the Red Sea. We saw that. And I began to feel like that's black people. She represented all of what black people should be about. Walking in the face of the social constructs of white supremacy and saying, we ain't doing this shit no more. We ain't doing this shit no more. This shit over with. And I watched them white women watch her. And she plans through there like God. And she beckoned to me. She said, hey, Mr. Alexander, let's talk. Black power. Black power. Black power. And that's what we should be shooting for. I said then, I said, my daughter, True, she's 2 years old. I said, that's what I want for her. I said, that's what I want for her. I want True. They said you well done. You can't tell your children what to do. No, okay. Well, I'm gonna tell mine. Okay, I'm gonna tell mine. I want you to do that. And I'm gonna tell you another thing. We have to be the example that our children aspire to be. We got to be that, not talk about it. We got to be that. You can't tell me it's true essence, seeing that imagery of black women walking in the face of the devil. That's what I call it. I already, ain't no bones about it. Me. I said walking in the face of the devil. And she would want to be there. You can't tell me that. That's right, Nikki. I say. So what I'm saying is that we have to be this example. You know, my children seen me being the boss. They seen me being the boss. So taking a job under the white man authority is not an option. It's not an option. So your education should reflect that. Your education and the educational process should reflect that. It should produce exactly what Brother Jeffrey Ryan Futrell is producing in the Memphis City metropolitan area. It should produce entrepreneurs. It should produce black leaders. That's what it should be producing. That's what our education should be producing. Go back to Amos Wilson. Education is designed to assure the survival of a people. That's why it's a CRT. See, that's why white people passing CRT all over. Yeah, Chandra Marshall, Chokwe Lumumba, just fearless. See, that's somebody that had a brush with black people in the courtroom. I know y'all don't know Chandra Marshall. I know her. I know her. And she watched Chokwe Lumumba go and take her family out of the lion den of these white people clutches. See, that take courage. In that very situation, what Chandra Marshall is referring to, it was almost a no-win situation. People talking about it's gonna take the power of God. Yeah, it was God in the form of Chokwe Lumumba, one of my spiritual fathers. Hold on, I got to answer this, y'all. Hold on one second. Yeah, Matt. Okay, didn't say nothing. So yeah, I seen the power of what we call God in person today, in the form of a black attorney. Why are we afraid to reference God synonymous with ourselves? Why are we afraid to do that? Look at Malcolm back there. A God. A God. Look at him. A God. Why are we afraid to say that? Like that word ain't synonymous with us. So yeah. That's right, Sister Nikki. She's a great representation for our children. See here. We'll comment. I want y'all to feel like y'all can engage this show. This is open mic night. Brother Sam said, For the black race, we're too busy trying to escape the benefits of a good education and replace education with the rap game or pro sports. Yeah, yeah, you hitting them. You hitting them. You hitting it right there, brother Sam. You know, we promote, the rap game and sports, but we ain't talking about who gonna build our town. You know, where our civil engineers at? Where the people that they're gonna lay out our grids, to these black towns? What are the people that they're gonna connect your electricity and build your homes and all these different things? Where they at? Where we promoting them at? You know, you can make a damn good living building black people up. You can make a damn good living building black people up. And a lot of these people that we talking about, these rappers and these sports people, they ain't doing shit for black people. A lot of these people don't even identify with black people. Most of them, almost 100% of them, don't even identify with their own blackness in no way other than just being black and being gifted cause they black. Sister Crystal, could you come on for a second? Thank you. All right. Kind of take this conversation. I got somebody here to look at my truck. I'm gonna take them 5 minutes to go and get them the key to look at my truck. So take this conversation for a second. Explain to them the brain drain and what it is and how it's affecting Mississippi. I'll be right back.
Okay. Greetings, family. Uh, so I was just looking up brain drain specific to Mississippi because it's not a new concept. It is something that has been going on for centuries, but it was mostly reference to people leaving different countries and going to other countries, and that's where it came from. But of course, now we are talking about Mississippi, and so it's been in the news lately. Um, that uh, white children are leaving the state. And I think you all have had a pretty robust conversation around that and understand the dynamics that are in play that is making it such a hot topic now. But like Brother Patrick said prior, that our children have been leaving. I'm from the Delta small community in Arkansas, and that's what we were taught, right? And that's what we continue to teach our children, to get your education and go on and lead the state. And so that's how they remained in power and were in control of the resources, because we were going anywhere to more urban areas and leaving our your rural areas behind. But now, since these white liberal children, I think that was Sister Beth that talked about, these children aren't interested. They don't care per se uh who's getting the jobs, because they going on to a more urban area where there are things to do, because that's mostly what it is. It's like where there's nothing to do, there aren't any activities for young adults. And then they also stated in one of the articles I read that most of these graduates are in the Hinds County area, the Jackson area. And so that is a crime. Some crime is entering there because of the lack of resources for our children. So that's, one of the areas they were speaking of. But and then the jobs that they're choosing, they're saying that the infrastructure in Mississippi is not in place. But it's interesting because I think that, after reading several articles and assessing the information for myself, that the states they are going to are still in the South. They're in Alabama and Texas, and these states have a more forward thinking young white people. I mean, if you go to Memphis and you look at some of the gentrification that's going on, you see that they're creating spaces for these, I call them yuppies, you know, and so it's real interesting when you read the reasons why they're leaving the state. And the main concern is that these white folks are saying that they're worried about is, who are going to be teachers. Okay, they don't want us to teach their children. Who are going to be the healthcare providers? That's what they saying. But when you have a us who's looking at it from the Black Power standpoint, you the conversation will naturally flow into where they worried about, right, maintaining power and passing that power on to their children. I want to go to this quote right here from one of my favorite people: credentials in classrooms are useless unless they lead us toward consciously applying knowledge to improve the quality of our community. And that's a classic by Baruti. And right. And so everyone pretty much understands this but us. And that speaks to the whole brain drain concept. And so I do encourage you all to read and go in and look at, because they don't just talk about the problems. We like to pontificate. There's one of Brother Patrick's favorite words, pontificate. We like to talk about it and just keep on talking about it. But shit, they already coming up with solutions. I read in one article that they are trying to create internships. They already have one uh now with through the University of Mississippi. If you are major in accounting and you have a 3.0, you can work for the state of Mississippi. They are already coming up with practical solutions to retain their young adults in this state. And so that's a lesson that we have to start. If we want to imitate something, that's what we need to be imitating, to come up with solutions and stop talking and actually do the work that's necessary for us to gain power. We were talking earlier about this thing, and we don't want to complain and say, okay, that's why we leaving, and this is why we want to take control. This is a great opportunity for us to think about what is it that we can do to start gaining power. They live in Jackson, they live in Hines County, if they live in, Coldwater, we need to figure out how we can concentrate our, like Sister Mila said, and unite, you know, concentrate our unity and unite and start making these, the black mega, so that they can come back to the South like Charles Blow has instructed in his great book, The Devil You Know. He pretty much is laying out a plan, and that would be, it would be great. We look at that book and we start talking about some of those practical steps and really start thinking about this, because shoot, this is a great opportunity for us to get our children to stay. And I really love the story about the lawyer in the courtroom, because I have said we need to stop telling our children that they can be anything they want to be, because we really don't have the power to determine that. We need to look at our children and really start telling them what they need to be, what we need, as well as what we need. We need black lawyers like the sister that was in the courtroom today. We need advocates. We need fearlessness. We need to be, teaching that by example as well. And so I'm going to yield, because I could keep going on and on about this, because, I am a firm believer that if we don't start building our own institutions and teaching our children from that perspective, then it really is gonna fall, on deaf ears, if we're all coming in into this knowledge at different ages and stages of our lives. We need to be teaching our children from the age of true on up, um, what is needed for us to survive and to thrive in this society. Brother Patrick.
Ashe, Ashe. Appreciate you for filling in so profound. I
No
appreciate
problem.
that. See a lot of things transpire. Thank you, Sister Crystal,
You're
for
welcome. I'm
doing
gonna
that.
go backstage.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. Good deal, good deal, good deal. So listen,
Enjoy.
listen. We enjoyed you. We appreciate that. Uh, so yeah, Sister Crystal was right on point, and that's the ad lib part of this that y'all needed to hear. So I guess there was divine order that they come out here to look at one of my 18 wheelers out there, so that she could come in and kind of put uh that perspective on it, where y'all can understand it a little bit, better. What it is that we're talking about with this brain drain situation. But I want to go back to Sister Nikki's comment because it brought something up. And Mawalamu Barudi, who is a profound teacher of ours, look at what he said. He said credentials in classrooms are useless unless they lead us toward consciously applying knowledge to improve the quality of our community. Our community. Now, look how much comparative that is to what Amos Wilson said. Amos Wilson said that education is to assure the survival of a people. See, we don't think specific enough about us as a collective. We practice rugged individualism, so we want to get the bag and we want to continue to move in close proximity to white people. That's what we want to do. Thinking we escaping racism by getting the bag, but we actually move next door to racism. Instead of fortifying our own communities and building them up strong. And it takes us back to a very primary uh, 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 controversy between Malcolm and Martin at one point in both of their developments. Malcolm was telling Martin, why we just can't build our own toilets, sit on our own toilets? Why we begging these people to sit on their toilet? You see? You see? Why we begging these people to eat at their counters? Why we build our own counter? We the master architects. What has happened to our mindset that we feel like we have to have them to make our standard? They are standard. And Mawalamu Barudi went on to talk about our politicians too. I read him a lot. Mawalamu Barudi said that our politicians are inconsequential to our political outcome. And what they're saying, that our politicians are inconsequential to our political outcome. They basically maintain a system maintenance. They basically maintaining the conditions. They're not using power that had been allocated to them by us to better us. That's what Mississippi on the Move is all about. It's about, let's talk about that. Because at a certain point in time, you got to come to a conclusion, black man and woman, that we're not doing this no more. Like the sister walked in the courtroom today and said, we ain't doing this white power shit today. This shit ain't not, we got black man life on the line. We're not doing that shit today. That's what her language said. And every white woman in there was, I mean, wow, I don't even have words to explain. Yeah. Brother Sam, enjoy listening. Brother, still on the grind. I say, look, hey man, we appreciate you, Brother Sam. And Brother Sam always send us a dime. He always got a dime for the Black Liberation Movement. He always sending us some money. I appreciate that, brother, for helping us because we don't get government funds and we not very liked by our own people, so they don't send us no money. But y'all will hit that cash app right there. Going across the screen. I got about 2 more minutes on this show. Tonight I really enjoyed it. If you enjoyed, type us in an Ashe. If you enjoyed the show tonight, type us in an Ashe. We would appreciate that. So, as we close tonight, people, let's keep in mind, that we are a people that need each other. Going back to Sister Miller's comment, the most powerful thing for our people to do is to unite. Is to unite in every area of human activity, battle, and concern. Unite. We in a war. We actually in a war. See, white people got us thinking war ain't nothing but what it is when they go and attack people and wreak havoc on people, in these other countries. But we not acknowledging the fact that they've been warring on us. We've been getting warred on. We just ain't fighting back. So we got to begin to fight back. We got to begin to exercise our skill sets, and make them work in the causation of black liberation and maintaining the quality, building the quality of black life and maintaining it, having a value for ourselves. We need to look at ideas like what Charles Blow is talking about in the Black Power and the Devil You Know, the Black Power Manifesto. Just a very powerful book. Y'all need to get. We need to look at the ideas of Dr. Claude Anderson. He tired now. He tired of talking to stiff-necked black people. Stiff-necked black people who love following up behind white people. We love it. We feel great adulation in following up behind white people. We need to do better. We need to declare our own humanity. I went to Tennessee. I'm getting ready to leave. I went to Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, and on my way back, I stopped at a rest area. I want y'all to see this. I stopped at a rest area, and up there around somewhere around the middle part of Tennessee, but up in the mountains, beautiful mountains. And I picked this up because it spoke volumes to me. You see, two white men. They were actually enemies of each other. A path divided. Tennessee Civil War Heritage Trail. It was a civil war that took place in Tennessee between white people. Between white people. White people fighting white people. See, we don't think that happened. But what they fighting each other for? Land, territory, property, control, power. Power. And it talked about in this little pamphlet, it talks about the role that Africans played. And see, they were vying for African too. Labor. But a very interesting comment on the back, right here. On the back, a path divided. White men fighting white men. But watch this comment that this white man right here said. I want y'all to pay attention to this comment that this white man here, Sam Watkins, they had First Tennessee behind his name. This is what he said. He said, America has no north, no south, no east, no west. The sun rises over America. The sun rises over the hills and sets over the mountains. The compass just points up and down, and we can laugh now at the absurd notion of there being a north and a south. We are one and undivided. See? At the end of the day, all these white folks together. They might have a squabble or two, but they say ain't no east, ain't no west. This is America. It's a white man land. You subjugated as the permanent underclass. We subjugated as the permanent underclass. Like I tell black folks all the time, it ain't nothing in America that's suggesting that you should be more than that permanent underclass. Nothing in America's construct that suggests that you should be more than that permanent underclass. Ain't no political campaign suggesting that black people be more than that permanent underclass. That's something we got to decide for ourselves. We got to look at Claude Anderson and think about how we going to situate Shreveport, Louisiana, Jackson, Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama, and Atlanta, Georgia. He said run a train track from one spot to the next and tell black folks to bring their ass back to the South. Bring your ass back to the South and situate yourself and build where you're already at. With that being said, I appreciate everybody for chiming in tonight. It was a beautiful show. I appreciate all the comments. It was very profound. Everybody that chimed in, we appreciate you. And we'll be back this time next week at 7 o'clock. Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Peace. No. Power. Peace. And I say, thank y'all for chiming in.